Hello there. Podcast number 3, Brom and Parry. How you doing, Brom?
I'm doing alright. How are you doing?
Very well, very well. I'm blistering in Blu-rays at the moment. I've bought too much and it's bad. But hopefully my wife won't watch this.
Every time I come round here, he's got more and more Blu-rays.
I love it. Addiction.
Can't be bad.
Addiction is the future. So what's good? So what's new?
Well, the big news today, this very day, is the Kick-Ass 2 trailer.
Nice. It came out, I think, this afternoon. Today is a Wednesday. We're on 13th of March. And it was released this afternoon. Oddly enough, it was released only in America. If you were on the internet, like I was, but it took a long time trying to find a trailer for it. It took about at least half an hour until someone actually updated a YouTube link. And but yeah, the trailer is now out. This is a sequel, of course, to Matthew Vaughn's original. I think it was 2009, 2010.
Around there, I don't know the exact year.
That
2010 maybe.
That was when the first Kick-Ass came out, and great film, and so high expectations for the sequel. This time though, no Matthew Vaughn directing. He's producing, so not all bad, but this time directorial duties go to a man called Jeff Wadlow. Paul, what do you know about him?
Only what you've told me. He's directed 2 films, Cry Wolf, which is a film I've not seen. I don't know if any of the UK watchers here would have seen it. I don't think it's pulled up any trees over here. And the other film was
Never Back Down.
Never Back Down, which I have seen.
Warrior film, a bit like Warrior for younger generation, I think.
What's the story about Kick-Ass 2? Are we aware of what the story is? I mean, I've not read the graphic novel, but having said that, I've read the graphic novel to the first Kick-Ass movie, and although it bears some similarity to the movie that we saw, there was a lot of changes to it. So it might not be a carbon copy of the graphic novel anyway. But Jim Carrey is in this film as Colonel Stars and Stripes, and I know that it basically revolves around Kick-Ass and Hit Girl trying to fight evil in the city, trying to keep the legacy of Hit Girl's father alive,
Big Daddy.
But Red Mist, the Christopher Mintz-Plasse character, still holds a vendetta against Kick-Ass. He still wants to get hold of him for what he feels he did to his father. So that's basically what we get from the trailer. And obviously, since the beginning of Kick-Ass and his endeavours on the street, a rising has emerged with more vigilantes, more costumed street superhero fighters have emerged, but both for good and both for evil.
Yeah, it's basically, it's funny when you watch the trailer because Aaron Taylor-Johnson actually looks the same as he does from the original film, but obviously, Chloe, Moretz, she was a very young girl when she made the movie. I think she was about 13 or something. Mm-hmm. But now she's obviously a much more grown-up girl, and she's added a lot of good films to her, to her list of, filmography. One to mention is the Carrie remake out in October, ready for Halloween. But and she's grown up a lot. So you obviously, it's funny watching the 2 characters because it looks like she's grown up and he looks the same. So Aaron Taylor-Johnson, you are handsome. And you are young looking.
Yes, my girlfriend did like you very much in Savages, and you look like you get your shirt off a lot in Kick-Ass 2, and you've got some chiseled abs, my man.
Yeah, that's a bit weird because I was looking at that and thinking, this is not the same character that we saw in the original, but of course the film has grown, the story's grown. But I'm excited to see. Christopher Mintz-Plasse, he is, it's McLovin, isn't it? He's always McLovin, no matter what he ever does. He's McLovin, and I can't wait to see him. He's now reborn though. He's no longer Red Mist in Kick-Ass 2, I believe.
No, he's got a new character name, isn't he?
The motherfucker.
The motherfucker.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's Kick-Ass 2, so look out for the trailer of that. Yeah. Rob's got some stuff he wants to talk about KUBRICK and Spielberg, Napoleon. But I just wanted to say, whilst we're on a comic book theme, I just wanted to say that Nick Cage has come out this week and said that he has no plans to reprise his role as Johnny Blaze in the Ghost Rider stories. He hasn't said never say never, but it looks like he could have played the part for the last time with Spirit of Vengeance. Now where this leaves Sony and Marvel, whether or not they recast or they do a complete reboot, I don't know, it's still early days, but at the moment it looks like Nick Cage has ridden as Ghost Rider for the final time.
I think a reboot is needed. Ghost Rider, I don't think it lived up to the expectations of the fans of the comic book. The film itself was weak. The first one was actually okay, I didn't mind it. Second one, Spirit of Vengeance, it had problems, and maybe that's got. I think it did quite bad at the box office as well.
I don't think it did fantastic. I think it might have turned a profit.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, Neville Dean and Taylor, the two directors, I expected a lot better from them, given the movies that they've been associated with in the past, the Crank movies and Gamer. They look like they've got a lot of kinetic energy, if nothing else. And the first look at the trailer did look like it was going to have that energy to it, but unfortunately, when the movie did come out, it fell a bit flat and looked very cheap looking. It looked like Sony were obliged to make the movie to keep hold of the rights to the character rather than actually invest in a decent movie.
It's a shame because Nicolas Cage, his favourite comic book is Ghost Rider, I believe. So for him to not play that character, maybe, hopefully, you know, he's left the franchise knowing he can never, he couldn't do more to sort of, you know, to make it better. But it's a shame because Nick Cage, you know, is a great actor, and I think he makes films now. He's sort of going down the Bruce Willis road a bit. You know, Bruce Willis has made a couple of films over the last couple of years. He's had one released this week, Fire on Fire, which has not got great reviews. Again, it looks like it's going to be in the cinema for like a couple of weeks, straight to DVD by Easter. No, hopefully Nick Cage can sort of, there's no confirmation, but he may reprise his role as Big Daddy in Kick-Ass in more of a flashback sequence, a bit like Liam Neeson in Dark Knight Rises. We will soon find out. But as Brom was saying, information released, I think it was last week, but it's still in my mind quite a lot. Stanley Kubrick, obviously anyone who's a film fan, I'm sure whoever watching this right now knows of Stanley Kubrick. Before, many years ago, before the days of even Spartacus, he wrote a script for the movie. He basically wanted to write a film on Napoleon, and he had it all.
Napoleon Bonaparte.
Yes.
Not Dynamite.
The official great French leader, if you can call him great. I don't know. I don't know the history, but you could say it's a massive story, and so much so that obviously Napoleon, the movie that Kubrick wanted to make, was never made, and this is where the interest has come in this latest news, because due to budget cuts, they could never make Napoleon, and
also the box office failure of Waterloo.
Waterloo in 1970 with the Rod Steiger at Waterloo, but Kubrick had such a mass amount of research on Napoleon that they actually, I'm not too sure what the date is, but they released a book, and I'm not talking any book, we're talking Bible size, on all his information, on all research on Napoleon. I think it's called Stanley Kubrick's Napoleon, the greatest movie never made. You can buy it on Amazon, I believe. I think it's about £30, $50 or whatever. But now it's been brought back from the dead. Steven Spielberg has been in contact with the Kubrick family and is in talks to make a mini-series about it. Now, we all know that Spielberg's had his hands in, involved
From
a lot.
Earth to the Moon, he did that in Band of Brothers. He's done a lot of TV work, hasn't he?
Exactly, he did the Pacific as well. He had, those are the two big names, Band of Brothers and the Pacific. HBO made shows. Of course, he had a big part. He had a lot to do with Amazing Stories back in the 80s. But now there's divided opinion. I'm not too sure how I feel about it, because Kubrick and Spielberg have sort of worked together in the past. Back in '95, because Kubrick also had, this is the genius that Kubrick was, or is, he had AI written a long time ago, but he never felt like he could find an actor to play the character of David, played by Haley Joel Osment back in the late 90s, early millennium. He never thought he could find he never thought the technology was ready for him to have that character available, to make that character. And so in 1995 he sort of gave up on the idea, and he gave the whole project, in a way, he gave it to Steven Spielberg, who went on to make it. And it's not a bad film, it's not great, it's got problems,
The ending aside, I quite like the film.
Yeah, and the ending apparently is Kubrick's script is the ending.
But Spielberg got a lot of stick for that, didn't he, from fans saying he was being schmaltzy at the end, and he said, well, that was the ending that Kubrick wanted himself. It wasn't just his own input, it was literally page for page.
I definitely would say that the end was the biggest problem for me.
Yeah.
It seemed to have, like, I don't know, very Lord of the Rings, Return of the King. You know, it was like it was never going to end. And but it was still nice to see that film being made. You know, I did hear about it in the 90s. It was, you know, in many Empire magazines and Total Film. But now it's been talked about again to be remade. Well, to be made finally. I think it's a good idea to put it in a mini-series. Spielberg, of course, you know, he's an epic director. He could direct any subject, really. I mean, his films have not been the greatest over the years. I mean, I still feel I've not seen a great Spielberg film since probably Schindler's List. Saving Private Ryan was a great film, but it wasn't. I've not seen his last masterpiece was Schindler's List.
His last masterpiece, but Catch Me If You Can is a film I enjoy a lot.
It's a good film. It's entertaining. I would go out to say Munich is probably his best film since. Perhaps I'm a big fan of War of the Worlds. Don't know about you.
No, I like it. The ending is a little bit pat, isn't it? And
rushed.
Yeah, well, the convenient how the grandson just turns up when you think he's dead is like, well.
You should explain that story you told me. You and your friend had a theory on War of the Worlds. Do you remember about the shield and how bacteria kills them? I thought it was fantastic.
Well, the story. It's just. I'm sure if you've watched the film, you're aware of what I'm saying. Is the machinery that the aliens arrive and wipe out humanity and. Once the bacteria gets to the aliens, it does kill them, but why would the shields around their machines fail because of the bacteria? That doesn't make any sense.
Spielberg never thought that, clearly. Yeah. Shame on you.
Yeah.
But, no, I'm excited for this. You know, how would Kubrick feel about a mini-series? I don't know. I don't think that was his intention to ever make it.
Oh no,
like
but TV probably back in the day wasn't as epic as it is now with the cable TV shows and Showtime and HBO. They're like they're like mega movies that are just split up over the course of a couple of weeks or a month or so.
Well, it's funny because I mean you wouldn't see Ben-Hur being made today, would you? Not in this climate. You would not see. You know, when was the last time you saw an epic like that? Gone with the Wind type of film.
No, yeah, but
Les Mis probably goes down that path, but there is no great classic film being made these days. I think it's because of the audience. The target audience is not wanting films like that now. They're wanting horror. They're wanting comics. They're wanting action,
comic adaptations,
comedy as well. You know, that they are the main focus, not epics like this. I mean,
Braveheart was a big movie, wasn't it? Back in the
mid-90s, isn't it? But you got to think of things like films like. Kubrick obviously had a massive research in this film, and maybe so much so, Spielberg wants to do him proud by basically putting everything in there, and the way to do that is to make a TV show.
Yeah, I think it's going to find its audience a lot better.
Who would play Napoleon now? Al Pacino for me. There's been talks about Al Pacino playing Napoleon years ago.
Is he too old now?
Yes, he might be actually. But then again, there is such a thing as makeup. But
yeah, of course,
he is old.
It'll either be someone established that we know, someone unknown.
My friend of mine said Joe Pesci.
Yeah, but is he too old? I mean,
probably. But he's the right height, isn't he?
Yes,
and he is a great actor.
But we're going to be looking. We'll probably end up with some guy that we're not familiar with, but America's familiar with.
Christopher Waltz. That's a good idea.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I don't know how tall Napoleon was, but I know he was a bit short. But who's going to play Nelson?
Yeah.
Gary Oldman.
Or with the Christopher Waltz versus Gary Oldman. The film is right there.
Yeah.
We take no.
Spielberg, make it now.
Yes, exactly. We take no pay cut. I'm sure you're watching.
Yes. What other news have we got to report on?
There's we're being quite amateur today.
Oh, an interesting story that I didn't know about that Rob just told me was that. Napoleon fell apart. Napoleon Bonaparte fell apart, and as a consequence of that, Kubrick went out and made Clockwork Orange.
Yeah. So I think you said as well to me before. Once one door closes, one opens.
Yep.
But isn't it funny how one door opens one door closes to a big epic to make one of the greatest cult films of all time. That alone shows Kubrick for who he was.
Yeah.
As a director, I mean, he's genius in every way. I mean, Paul was mentioning, and I think it's a good point. I think Barry Lyndon was probably, the closest he probably got to making Napoleon.
Yeah.
Barry Lyndon is very grand and epic scale. It's got a lot of everything. Beautifully made movie. But now, hopefully, with all the the budget, I'm sure Spielberg would get. And if it goes ahead, I mean, I like the fact that Spielberg's not just making it and not talking to the Kubrick family, because obviously they are being holding meetings with him to discuss the project. And you got Vivian Leigh, who is Kubrick's daughter. She did a great little documentary on it wasn't even a documentary, it was just what she filmed, but it was great enough to be called a documentary for The Shining when she was a young girl. And excuse me. So yeah, let's hope it becomes what Kubrick envisioned.
I hope. I don't think we've got much more major news other than that.
Very, very slow this week, isn't it?
Well, we're going to try and do these podcasts more frequently, and news as we get it. We hope to get it in there. We don't want this to become like a Star Wars news update website, but news emerging today is that Billy D. Williams has been approached to reprise his role as Lando Calrissian. As we know, we've got Mark Hamill coming back, Harrison Ford, Carrie Fisher. But the news that's on the website this week is that Billy D. Williams may well be coming back as Lando, which would be a welcome addition because everyone loves Lando.
Yeah, he is. He is the Apollo Creed, isn't he, of the galaxy, full of confidence and just a great character. I mean, Billy D. Williams' Lando Calrissian was my favourite figure in the Star Wars collection. He always seemed to be he stood out to me to be pretty cool. And there's been some on-set pictures this week as well from Anchorman 2, and that picture was of Harrison Ford.
All right, I haven't seen this picture yet.
It's a very, very quick picture, but it's the pictures consisted of Christina Applegate holding a baby, perhaps.
Their baby.
Yeah. What's Anchorman's name?
Ron
Burgundy. And Harrison Ford. And I think it's fantastic to have Harrison Ford in the film, because as much as moody as he may seem in the media, he has that ability. I mean, that Star Wars skit he did with Chewbacca, that was fantastic. That was on. Was that Saturday Night Live?
Yeah.
Or something. Or might be not. Actually, might be in a Letterman or Leno. But either way, it's good to see Harrison Ford sort of, not taking himself so seriously. And with Star Wars coming back up, and Han Solo is not the kind of guy who did take himself seriously.
No.
He needs to be back into that kind of character. So hopefully we're going to see more Harrison Ford taking lighter roles more than his. I mean, I thought he did a very good job in Cowboys and Aliens. Actually, I thought it was very good. But no, that's all we have this week. Like I say, the news has not been brilliant, but we can only work with what we've got.
Yeah, and when we got it, we give it to you.
Hard. I don't know where that came from.
Okay, this is Brom.
We give it hard.
This is Brom. This is Rob.
Parry.
And this is our podcast in association with Non-Stop Hits.